And that is an awesome grizzly bear. If you guys remember a video I did, was it last year or something? Top of the mountain here, and you can look across that epic backdrop behind me, Mount Curry. And let's try to get up there for the first time this spring, which is a little bit of a ways. And was I almost to the top, and there's one big chunk of snow left along the road, about 2 feet deep, 3 feet deep. There's no way a quad was getting by it. I'm like, damn it. Perfect sunny day, basically the same time sun is what was in that previous video. Would have been a pretty cool backdrop again, but anyway, so I went down to the next level, and this is about as good as it's gonna get for right now, especially the sun hooking around to face from the ideal view direction. But whatever, this ought to work. I re-edited up that video that YouTube took down because they want to choose what you can see or read or hear. And I reloaded on the Rumble channel. Now, I thought that I named the channel the same as the YouTube channel, The Facts by Howtohunt, but it says Pro Guide 66 on it. But it also says, when I crack it open, The Facts by Howtohunt. So, I don't know. I loaded that video up. I don't know what would happen if I put that link up here or not. So if you want to go into the Rumble and try to find the video, either search Pro Guide 66 or The Facts by Howtohunt or howtohunt.com or whatever it is. And when I get time, I'll try to correct it. And I'll put in my name. I don't care. I'll put in whatever name works. Freedom of speech being rapidly is gone. Freedom of speech is gone. You're not allowed to hear from certain people. You're not allowed to say certain things. It's easy to prove. It's not a conspiracy. And the majority of people are rolling over. The majority of people have lost their common sense. They can't see it. And it's possibly my job and a handful of others to keep reminding everybody, pointing out the facts of what's really going on, which can be quite frustrating at times. So anyway, I'll keep going in this department right here. It's easy, and again, it's one of the easiest ways to show you all that we're being misled and lied to, and I'll never stop. Anyway, listen to this. You're doing the right thing. Someone has to be the one to break the higher out-of-reach information that's being kept from us common folk. It's all a bunch of lies on top of lies. Now we're beginning to see this is just the tip of the iceberg. Steve and all the people around you that give you support to push through, mainly you, and keep these stories going, helps everyone tremendously, me for sure. I bet it has to be a pain in the ass to keep it up. Anyway, to my story. I wrote you over a year. I've been waiting to hear it on your channel. Eventually I bought your book, and there it was. I read my story there. Oh, no shit. It's got to be hard to keep up on all these emails, let alone anything else. Never heard my horrific story, but read it in the book. My first encounter, I won't go into detail. I wrote about it before, and it's readable in your book if anyone wants to read about it. My name is Thomas Harris, Brasstown, North Carolina, and I was a young 12 years old. This news story is in Indiana, in the very tip-top by Indiana-Michigan state line. Where I'm from is smack dab in the middle of everything. Skyscrapers, airports, many people that have no clue, etc. You get the idea. Either these things are multiplying a lot, or they can adapt. Here's what happened. I was on my way to work. The sun was coming up. I remember light was coming out enough that I could shut off my lights off and use my parking lights. I passed quite a few cornfields, nothing but woods and woods. I came around a corner, I seen what I thought was a plastic trash bag until it left a dust trail behind it. So I pulled over thinking, what the F was that? Trying to get a good look. It took about 3 seconds, and it all came back to me like I was 12 years old in North Carolina. The underlying feeling of fear, the same fear, and only time I felt that fear as I did when I was 12. When it noticed me, mind you, it was half across a cornfield, That's when I didn't even double think it. I'm out of here. This thing grabbed a piece of metal and threw it at me. Not sure if it was an old tractor part or what it was way out there, but her accuracy was 100% on point. It hit the top corner where my passenger door line and roof came together. It hit the street. Tink, tink, tink. Definitely not metal. Definitely metal. Left a big dent. Luckily, it didn't bust a window. I swear I heard it laugh at me as I burned my tires out of there. The oddest thing I can make out of this is why it looked like a trash bag. Black, shiny, and flimsy, but sure did make a dust cloud, which was what caught my eye. I have to drive by that area every day, and all the emotions I dealt with when I was 12, and for years after, are now once again part of my life. These things might be nice to some, but I haven't seen a good side to one yet. That thing hit my car, shook my car, which means it had weight. I don't know of anything that can throw a football half the length of a cornfield, let alone something that probably weighs 3 to 5 pounds. I thought the Sasquatch Bigfoot thing was no longer an issue in my life. I honestly stay aware when I'm at all times and wouldn't put myself in harm's way when that sixth sense kicks in. Been like that since I was 12. These things are not just in the woods/forests, they are everywhere. And whatever else has been living with us. Thanks, Steve, for publishing my story. Honestly, never thought we would cross paths again. Hope the move to the farm goes well and you'll still be able to be yourself. Take care of the family. Have a good day. Wow. Thomas, thanks for sharing that, man. And if I can, I'll dig up your first story and I'll share it here with everybody through this route as well, all right? It's all honesty, it's all life-changing, and it all gets read word for word here, no matter what anybody thinks or wants. I don't give a shit. It's getting read. It's up to you guys to take from these emails what you want or leave it. It's up to you. In a way, we're trying to retrain the majority of society to realize that it's up to you to choose what you see, hear, or read. It's up to you, okay? It's not up to me or anybody else, especially these monsters that control mainstream media, all right? Hey, Steve, found your channel about the time you shared your grandfather's story, and I've watched it blow up ever since. I love listening to the shares and the message you bring. Good on you. Keep it up. I sent you a short email back then, and I'm sure it's thoroughly buried by now, but I keep hearing things in these stories that trigger little memories, so here we go again. I'm a logger, just across the border from you. In fact, I can see the lights of Abbotsford and Surrey when I'm warming my machine up right now. Not far away is Red Mountain, where one of your viewers mentioned some interactions with an old miner way back when. A friend of mine was doing some clearing up there and also complained of the EBGBs, like being watched. There's another hilltop nearby where most of the high strangeness around here occurs, like within a 5-mile radius, and all types of things. Stories like strange red lights following people, the usual feeling of being stalked by something large. Even one of my best friends saw a silver disc up there. That is an amazing story, but that is his tale to tell. I was hiking around a small lake in this area when my buddy and I heard what sounded like a howler monkey on the hillside above. Last I checked, they aren't native to Whatcom County, but that's the only thing I've ever heard that came close. Another time I heard one give a short hoot from the trees while I set up camp at an old landing. Definitely not an owl. For some reason I hooted back, but never heard anything else. Slept with my shotgun that night, though. You mentioned once that wild animals won't approach a fire. Well, I was a teen when I went down to South Fork of the Nooksack, where my grandparents owned property, and camped on the river bar one summer night. I was using a big cottonwood log for a heat reflector. I woke up in the middle of the night to roll over and give the fire a poke. All of a sudden, on the other side of the log, something took off running back to the trees. I dismissed it as an elk back then. It sounded fairly big, but now I wonder. Then the smell. The first time I smelled it was working in the rigging, and it came up, lasted only for a minute or so, and was gone just as fast. The next time I was helping the hook tender on a downhill show just below a patch of old-growth timber. We had just called for a package of rigging, and were sitting, BSing, and waiting for it to come up the lines when I smelled it. I looked at the hook. "What did you have for dinner last night, dude?" "What do you mean?" he asked. "Did you just shit yourself?" It smelled horrible, like wet dog/rotten meat. He said he'd been smelling it for about 10 minutes. We both chuckled nervously and chatted about what we thought it was, and actually saying the S word. After a few minutes, the rigging arrived, and we began packing blocks and wire back to where it was needed. All you could see of us was assholes and elbows as we busied ourselves. We were We were almost done when a rock comes flying out of the old growth above the land and landed right between us in the snow. Immediate, get the F out. One other incident I would like your opinion on. I was hiking on an old log and railroad grade looking for more elves. At one point, the grade cut along the bottom edge of a freshly logged unit. Looking up, I saw a cottonwood on the right tree line. Then I got to it, I found the fresh remains of a doe. Lower legs in a little jumbled pile on one side, guts strewn off the other. No carcass, no maggots, just blood, bits of skin. Another cottonwood below the grade, maybe 50 feet away, lay a cow elk, almost identical in condition, except the skull was laying upside down in the pile. I flipped it over with a stick, and the top had been bashed in and the brain was gone. It struck me would have been the perfect spot to flush game out of the unit. Down onto the railroad grade, as the elk had a well-beaten trail down the length of it. I may have never seen one of these beings, but I've seen and experienced enough strange things so far in this life to believe them to be real. This round table you have created is the best way to bring it all out in the open. Thanks again for what you do. Use my name. They all think I'm crazy already. It's very freeing to not give an F what anybody thinks. LOL. Later. Wade Pettigrew, Acme, Washington. Wade, thanks for that share, man. Absolutely appreciate it. You know what it was. You know what you're seeing. Holy, just so you guys know, I was just anchored on the couch for like 2.5 days. I don't know what happened. It's definitely not COVID, but I think I got a face full of mold from some stuff we were getting out of this damp storage area. And it made me choke and cough a bunch, and the next thing you know, I went down for the count. So this is my first day up and running around. Still feel a little weak. I'll still basically feel like what you would feel like if you laid around for 2.5 days, right? Not so chip air. But I'm definitely on the men's side, rapid now, so back in action. Hail and well met, Steve. I recently found your channel. I've been absolutely fascinated by each and every one of the stories read by you. I appreciate and respect everything that you're doing. I just want to thank you for giving the platform for us to speak. Thanks for those kind words, man, and there's no problem. I'm 34 and I've been obsessed with Sasquatch for as long as I can remember. Raised in the church, I was brought up with certain views on how the world works, etc. As I've gotten older, I've found many answers. As I've gotten older, I've found my own answers to many questions, and I've found my own truths, most of which go against my upbringing, and for that I'm grateful. I fully believe that everything has existed or will exist in some point in time. We know next to nothing of our Earth and universe that is equally beautiful and terrifying. As what happened to me, I would equate as terrifying. Back in 2011 and 2012, I was hiking a well-known trail on a Tiger Mountain right off Highway 18 near Maple Valley, Washington. I've hiked these woods for a long time, and they're well frequented by many people. It was mid-afternoon and somewhat cloudy, overcast, and slight drizzle. I just started my hike, maybe half a mile into a slight switchback climb, when I just stopped dead in my tracks. I heard no insects or birds, and the wind started picking up, coming from the southwest. I was in a less dense area of the forest. Around me was mainly short scrub, plants, and boulders. Then the well-worn trail weaved around, and the slanted upwards into thick copse of Douglas fir and red cedar. The trees ahead kind of made a wall that indicted the beginning of a heavier forest as you climb. The wind was blowing not very hard, but enough to move the timber and slightly drown out all sound. Normally it doesn't bother me as I love wind. However, I couldn't move. My eyes were scanning left to right towards the trees. I was having trouble breathing, and I felt immense pressure on my chest. My ears felt hot, and my face was flushed, as if being scolded or embarrassed. An overwhelming feeling of fear and dread, like if I continued up the trail, something would happen to me. My gut was telling me to flee. I've never felt that feeling before. I always told myself to listen to the trees, and at this point, I didn't argue. I turned around and hightailed it back to my car. The feeling eventually went away as I neared the trailhead, but the wind stopped in the stillness, was still there until I got to the gravel lot. Up until recently, from finding your channel and another and hearing stories from other people, I never put the pieces together. It was a clear warning to me. Whether it was a passing family or a lone individual, I cannot say, but they wanted me off the trail out of the woods. I obliged. That's my story, and again, just want to thank you and everyone for speaking out about this incredible journey. Each story brings new information and insight. Knowledge is power, and also extremely lightweight. Mason. Mason, appreciate your share, man. You did the right thing. That's what we've been telling everybody to do, actually. If your gut's telling you that shit's not right, it's not right. If you're filled with fear and dread, there's good reason for it, and you got to turn around and go back the way you came. And you know, it's funny, I was talking to Dave Plattis about this a while back, and he heard that I think some scientists were saying possibly that you should sit still and not move when you feel that as there is a chance you may step into or fall into a portal, possibly. I don't know. I guess it's something to think about, but from what I have been learning and what I feel right now so far is if you possibly go step for step down a trail, you hit that wall where your hair turns to wire, you're shitting yourself, terrified, dread, you think you're going to get killed, you're being hunted, stared at, whatever. I think I'm more inclined to backpedal, straight, exact, turn around and go exactly the same way out as I just came in. That's what I would do personally. It's going to be up to every individual who's going to decide what they're going to do. But until we can give out a absolute, straight up, 100% answer, that's what I'm sticking to for now anyway. But anyway, thanks again for that share, man. Absolutely appreciate it. Hello, Steve. First of all, thank you and God bless you. My name is Nathan Wheeler. I live in the high mountains of North Carolina, just a couple hours from Scott Carpenter, and have a couple of experiences to share. I've been hunting all my life in these woods and never seen anything, but know they're here. I don't really want to see one. So anyway, my wife, myself, and my dog went for a hike one day to one of the 6 highest peaks east of the Rockies in the lower 48, the Black Mountain Range. I'm in good shape, hike and fish, and carry a 20 to 30 pound pack almost always. Where we were is what I call dark timber, very thick for trees. Can't see 10 to 15 feet in front of the trail we were on. I had a very real feeling of being watched, like someone had eyes on me. 6th sense. I'm in tune. Just couldn't shake it. Felt like it took forever to get out of there into the meadows. I wanted to glass for whitetail, which was a 3.5 mile hike with a little over 2,000 feet in elevation climb. We finally made it out Saturday and had some lunch and a rest and glassed for a while. After an hour or so, we headed back down the hill. When we got back in the timber, it was back. The feelings were stronger than before and telling me that I need to get out of there. I had one problem. It was as if every ounce of my energy was gone. My feet felt like cinder blocks. It was all I could do to walk, like something was trying to get me to stop and lay down and give up. I kept moving, scared to sit down for fear I wouldn't get up. I don't scare easily, but this was different, like I had no control. I wanted out, but it was like I just couldn't get there. We finally made it out, and I've been back, just not up to the dark timber. We finally made it out, and I've been back, just not up to the dark timber. I don't know if I'll go back to that spot or not. Suggestions? Anyway, thank you so much for all you're doing. Brother Steve, if you ever get down this way, I'll have a beer and a steak dinner waiting for you. Thank you, God bless you. Nate. P.S. I had this feeling another time after that when muzzleload hunting in another spot in the high mountains. I've been able to make myself go back to that spot, but it's still an uneasy place for me, as well you know. Nathan, thanks for the invite for the steak and beer, man. You never know. I just might pop up one day. I do plan on doing this when we can. I'm just going to go on tour, and I'm going to meet up with as many people as I can one day. But you just do what I do. Well, I shouldn't say do what I do, but I can share with everybody what I do. And I've said it dozens of times already. I'll keep going. I'll feel it out. If it feels good, I keep going. If it doesn't feel good, I leave. It's too easy, right? It's too easy. You go with your gut instincts, and you fine-tune your gut instincts. You think for yourself. You learn for yourself. You take from what knowledge is shared. You take from what you will, or you leave it. It's not too hard to go by those rules in life, right? But anyway, so the last time I came here, I was set up here, and all of a sudden a bear walked right in front of me about 20 yards away. And then I went over the bank, I looked over the bank, and there's 3 more right there. I'm a little too high right now. There's no food up here. It's still snow. So the bears that are awake, they've already gone down the valley bottom. But you never know. A straggler might come through. Hope that camera's still rolling. Hello. Feel free to share my name and location. First, forgive my penmanship, for I am no author. LOL. My name is Aaron Minker from Sequim, Washington. It's a small town across from Vancouver Island, east of Port Angeles. I'm 53 years old and have been a firefighter for almost 20 years on the peninsula. First, I want to thank you for what you're doing and accomplishing. You're a kick-ass, no-bullshit guy, and I appreciate you and everything you do and are doing. I love the fact that you film outdoors while you're reading other people's stories. Keep it up. Thanks for the kind words, my man, and the support. I really appreciate that. The experiences go back to 2003, late summer on the Hood Canal. I believe I was up the Dosey Wallop River, late one afternoon. I took my year-old black lab pup and my girlfriend's 6-year-old pit/lab mix for a hike to look for fishing spots. My girlfriend's dog was named Spunky. Trust me, he lives up to his name. He was full of spunk and never backed down from anything. He was one hell of a guard dog. So to access the trailhead, you have to drive about 10 miles up a dirt road to the parking lot trailhead. We hike in about 2 miles, enjoy the sights, and I eat lunch along the upper river. Saw some fish and made a mental note of the spot. It was getting dark and I gathered the pups and off we went to hike back to the car. Everything was going well. The dogs were behaving and staying by my side. We came to a spot on the trail where the trail dog legs to the left, then straight and on to the end. This spot is about 209 yards from the trailhead. As I came up to that bend in the trail, I noticed my 2 dogs stopped dead in their tracks. They both had their noses to the ground, tails tucked in, hackles up, and whimpering. I'm thinking that's odd. They're not afraid of much of anything. I motioned them to come on and said, "What the F is wrong with you two, especially Spunky?" I took a step forward while looking back at them and saw them literally take 2 steps backwards. I looked in the direction of their gaze, and all I saw was a cluster of alder trees about 12 feet tall and about 15 feet bunched around. Other small bushes and shrubs surrounding that cluster of trees. I'm like, okay, what the F? I looked back at Spunky. And Spunky pissed himself while they were both whining and shaking. Now I'm really wondering, what the F? The trip was uneventful going in, but now on the way back, this is happening. Mind you, the car is behind this area, and obviously you need to walk past what is happening to get back. I take another step forward, and all of a sudden this clump of alders shook, and a huff came from them. I felt the ground shake at the same time. All I can relate it to, if you will, is an elephant jumping. It sounds crazy, but I'm doing my best to describe it. The dogs were freaking, walking the opposite way. I'm trying my best to get them to come to me, but they refused. Now I'm getting freaked. I didn't smell any foul stench, just an uneasy feeling. I felt trapped, not knowing what to do. The rivers to my right and to my left was dense timber. I swallowed my gut, yelled to the dogs to come, and sprinted some 200 yards to get to the car. Running, I looked back and I saw both dogs following me. Spunky looked back to see whatever was chasing us. Nothing seen, we kept on. Getting to the car, I unlocked it, key in ignition, and dogs piled into the back seat. Started my little Toyota, and off we went. I noticed once in the highway, both dogs were on the back floorboard, still shaking from previous events. I know in my heart that a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever, was bedded down in those alder thickets, and my dog sniffed him or her out and froze. I'm a firm believer of these gentle giants, and I'm not afraid. In fact, I pray for the day that I see one. A few of my fellow firefighters are optimistic, but admit they'll shit themselves if they ever came across one. I jokingly tell them that I would approach them while they bug out. LOL. I love the outdoors and spend a lot of time backpacking and swinging flies for steelhead. In the summer, I don't even sleep in the tent, rather on the forest floor. The forest is my home, and I'd rather be there than in any city. Thank you for reading this. Again, I appreciate what you're doing. If you're ever in Sequim, look me up, I'll buy you a beer. All the best, Aaron. P.S. The trail we were on wasn't in the National Forest or park, just shy of it. I know some people frown on pets in the park. Well, you know. Yeah, some people frown on all sorts of shit, don't they, Aaron? But hey, man, thanks for those kind words of encouragement. Thanks for sharing your experiences, all right? I'm sure somebody in your area, anybody, out of all these people listening are going to appreciate your share. Take something from it, without a doubt. But anyway, I got to check and see if this camera's still rolling. Alright, so there's minutes left on that camera. That's the Sony 4K going. I'm going to drain that battery right out and then flip over to Canon. The shitty thing about the Canon is it decides to shut off by itself every 15 minutes or so, now and then. Alright, what do we got? Good afternoon, Steve. I live in a small town in Virginia called King George County, near the Potomac River. It's a rural farming county. It is a shotgun county only, but it has a pretty decent population with a lot of subdivisions, but still has a lot of woodland for hunting and fishing. I've hunted the same big farm. It usually rotates beans once a year, then corn the next. Since I was a little kid, now being 47 years old, I've seen some strange things while hunting this farm, especially in the past 20 years or so. Sometimes during hunting season at night, between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m., I used to take a varmint light and a spotlight and spotlight deer. Never shot at them at night, just to see if I could see any big whitetail. Bucks. Sometimes you would see the deer laying in the middle of the field with bigger deer standing in the corners of the deer, laying down, observing the whole entire big field like being bodyguards or something. The deer didn't even run when I approached them, but seemed to be very nervous about the wood lines surrounding the fields. I'd never seen anything like this before. The farm has 4 to 5 different power lines, rows that connect over the property, which I believe these things use as travel ways or their hunting areas. About 20 years back, I was spotlighting one of the power lines and seen something peeking out behind a big oak tree, looking back at me, standing upright. I was about 200 yards away, and it seemed like a teenager was on the power line looking back at my varmint light that had a red lensed cover over the light from behind the tree. There would not have been anyone in this area at 12 midnight in the middle of the week, and there are no houses close by anywhere, so I think it was a young Sasquatch. I have old roads that I keep cleared out to get back and forth to my tree stands / ladder stands. A few different times I have found healthy trees about 1 foot to 1.5 foot in diameter broken off 20 feet in the air that will land in the roads I keep cleaned out. Where if the trees had broken off naturally, they would have landed in the woods and not in the road. I'll take the chainsaw and clean the mess back out of the roadway, not only to come back a couple months later and find another one blocking the roadway. I found small trees bent over and twisted together, 20 feet in the air, with all the branches broke off, making 4 corners of what looks like could be a structure but has no sides. Say you have 4 equals 4-inch diameter trees that are about 10 feet apart. I've seen them twisted together, connecting all 4 sides for some reason, like 4 corners of a house, or like some kind of a marker or something. Also, I've seen trees bent over with all the branches broken off, with a big dead tree holding down the top of the tree to the ground as some kind of marker. I've had things thrown at me, and other sorts of weird things happen, but never could see what had thrown the things. The people I've told about this think I'm crazy or something, and just laugh it off, saying that I'm just imagining it or something. I just want to pass my stories along to you. I know sheriff deputies have claimed to have seen them in Spotsylvania County, Virginia, and at AP Hill Army Training Base in Carolina County, Virginia, has had Sasquatch vocalization recordings from there, and they're close by me. But people still call me crazy for mentioning what I've seen and heard. Once you've seen and felt these things, it changes your ass. Still refuse to give up the outdoor life, though. Didn't put my name on here because I catch enough flack from everyone now saying I have seen one, and no one has been around this farm as long as I've been. Thanks for all you do for this topic. Have a good day. All right, man. Thanks for that share, man. I appreciate it. You know you're not crazy, and so do we. All right. Enough of the crazies. Enough of listening to the scared people. Oh. The scared people. The scared people being conditioned to be scared of everything from the dreaded mainstream media. Tell you what. Yeah, I won't start on any kind of a rant. Save my energy for sharing emails. There's no shortage of stuff coming in. There's no shortage of things going on. It's just no shortage. Lots to share. Lots to share. Unfortunately, I have to bite my lip on some items for a while. Yeah. I don't even know why I say that shit. Oh. But anyway, I'm gonna see if I might move the quad a little bit. There might be a place down lower I could probably get a real cool view of the valley on the way back home. See if I can pull off a couple shares there. I'm definitely not feeling 100% yet. I gotta get some proper food in me. It's kind of weird when you feel like you just want to go sleep. Now you've already basically done nothing for a couple 2.5 days, right? Never had a fever. It's definitely not the vid. But anyway, there you go. There's a handful more. And there's definitely a lot more to come. A lot more to come. You know, some things in the future pan out. There's going to be some things coming. There's going to frickin' blow the socks off the planet. I'll tell you what. Without a doubt.